What is up, my friends? We are back and you are very welcome along to a brand new week here on Anfield Agenda. Today we're going to be speaking about Mark Guehi, a bit on Alexander Isak. BESIKTAS want to sign Federico Chiesa and we're going to tell you why that isn't happening. That and lots more over the next few minutes. As always, we do want to know your thoughts, ladies and gents, so let me know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The good news, I will be back tonight for a late night agenda at 8:45 where we will go through this and many more stories in greater detail. The Anfield Agenda podcast episode 4 is being recorded today. It'll be out at 11 p.m. tonight for members and 11 a.m. tomorrow morning for everybody else. So look, I'm not going to hang around. Missed you all over the last few days, but glad to be back and let's get stuck into it. So we're going to start off with a story that kind of, I guess, answers the question, will Liverpool be going back in for Mark Guehi in January, or will Liverpool wait for the end of the season? And at least according to the Echo, they say, the Echo understands that Liverpool are currently unlikely to submit a bid for Mark Guehi in the next transfer window, given that he will be available for a free in the summer. So, look, this isn't completely ruling it out. Maybe we pick up an injury, maybe something like that happens. Now, I've got more on Mark Guehi in a couple of moments, so stick with me. But I just wanted to get your initial thoughts on that one because it surprised me a little bit. I wasn't sure what Liverpool were going to do around Mark Guehi. Would we come back in January or wait till the end of the season? I've always known that Mark Guehi has said he didn't want to move mid-season in a World Cup year, so maybe it just makes sense all around. Now, I do have more on Mark Guehi in a moment, so stick with me. But Bayern space, well, they've been talking again about all things Bayern Munich, surprisingly enough, and they said Alexander Isak is among the growing list of top talents who rejected a move to Bayern Munich. Bayern seem to be getting a bit salty about all of this. They've been talking about the prices being paid by English clubs for players, and it just comes off like total jealousy, to be honest with you. So, BESIKTAS were considering and are considering a move for Liverpool's forward Federico Chiesa, according to Fabrizio Romano. But the good news is, he said BESIKTAS tried to sign him in recent days because, of course, the Turkish transfer window is still open. They put an offer on the table, but Liverpool shut the door, which, again, is very interesting to me because what is happening with Chiesa? He was left out of the Champions League squad, as we mentioned. We keep being told that his future is with Liverpool, but we're not seeing the proof of that pudding in the eating here, are we? It just seems to be that he's been linked with moves away again. Is his future at Anfield? I hope so, and I think many other Liverpool fans do, because we all like Federico Chiesa, but when you're still seeing him being linked with moves away, I don't know, that puts a little bit of doubt in your mind. So let me know what you guys are thinking on his future. Of course, we need him, right? Because we don't have enough forwards at the minute, so well, we do now, but if we weren't to have Chiesa involved, we'd be too short. Right, the Daily Star, and I promise you a bit more on Mark Guehi. They've said Manchester City will battle Liverpool plus Bayern Munich plus Barcelona plus Real Madrid to sign Crystal Palace centre-back Mark Guehi in the January transfer window. But we're not going to be going in from the January window, are we? And believe it or not, I have a little bit more on Mark Guehi coming up in a moment. So, Newcastle defender Emil Kraft, speaking about Alexander Isak and him departing, had this to say: the media wrote that the locker room would be divided. That is certainly not true. Football players understand football players, and we can only wish him the best of luck. And again, it is nice to hear that, because there was only one narrative in the media, wasn't it? And that was disruptive, that was problem causing. But here you have it, Emil Kraft saying, no, players understand. And they do. Footballers do understand that they are transient employees of football clubs, and sometimes the clubs want to get rid of them and sometimes they want to leave. That's the way the game is. So, Fabrizio Romano said Ibrahima Konate is on the list of Real Madrid and is one of the players they would like to bring in next year. It will only happen if he doesn't extend his contract. They remain their thoughts active for Konate. Conversations remain ongoing between Liverpool and the player over a new deal. October, November last year, it was verbally close. Then it changed around December, January. So what gets me about this is, it's another player that Real Madrid want, but don't want to pay for. This is surely something Liverpool can use in their negotiations with Konate to say, look, we want you, mate. We want you to stay here. You're part of our plans. They only want you on a free. Do they really value you the same as we do? At least that's the pitch I'd be putting to them. So, Chris Bascom of The Telegraph writes, other clubs are believed to be ready to rival Liverpool for Mark Guehi's signature, but haven't been given permission to meet the player, conduct a medical and agree personal terms, Liverpool understand that Mark Guehi sees his long-term future at Anfield, which is, again, a lovely way to bring this story full circle around. We spoke about January and whether we'd go in or not, and the Echo believes we won't. Then we talked, of course, about other clubs who were interested, but that one from Chris Bascombe, to me, makes the most sense, because Liverpool have done the hard yards here. Liverpool have told Mark Guehi how they will use him in the squad. At that time, they'll probably know more about Konate's future as well. So I think Chris Bascombe is spot on, and that's certainly what I think will happen. But let's wait and see. Also, with Chris Bascombe speaking about Konate, he said the dialogue for Konate's new contract has been ongoing and a new contract has been ready to sign for a while. Liverpool do not want to wait another 10 months for a resolution, but are pragmatic about the outcome. Now, what pragmatic means, we'll have to wait and see. Paul Joyce has said Liverpool will not revisit their interest in Mark Guehi in January and would only sign the Crystal Palace centre-back on a free next summer. So now we've got, again, then Paul Joyce backing up what the Echo said about the Reds not going back in January. He also said, Paul Joyce, about Konate, while Liverpool do not want to lose Ibrahim Konate, they will not beg anybody to remain at Anfield. I like that. I do. I like that from the club. Andy Robertson now, speaking a little bit about almost leaving Liverpool this summer, said, I had to think about what I wanted to do and I came to the decision, committed to the decision, and I'm happy to be there. We had options and we just worked through it as a family. Everything boiled down to my heart, and my heart was still at Liverpool and we wanted to stay. We're very settled there and we're at one of the biggest clubs in the world. And honestly, we're very happy that he is settled there, because with Costas moving on, Andy Robertson is the perfect person to have there to help Milos Kerkez, to compete with Milos Kerkez. And again, I think over the course of the season, Robbo will get enough game time to keep him happy. So John Dahl Tomasson, the Swedish coach, has been speaking about Isak, and he said, over the past 3 months, he hasn't played a single match. He's only managed 3 training sessions with us. He needs training and time. But unfortunately, he's not fully ready yet. If he could play, he'd play every minute. But he isn't ready yet. And that's why I said when we signed him, I wouldn't expect to see him starting for Liverpool until probably the other side of the October international break. So, Hugo Ekitike, speaking about his own price tag, said, it's a big transfer. I'm watched 1,000 times more than I was before now, but I take it as a positive. It's the position I wanted to be in. When you have these kind of standards, you have to show everyone that you deserve your place here and continue to perform. It's a position that I like to be in and one I want to keep. And it does take a very strong-willed person to come into a club like Liverpool and feel like you belong there. You've got to be pretty confident in your own abilities. Also, speaking about competing with Isak, he said, when you play for the best teams, you expect to be competing with the best players. Isak is a player I've watched too, so seeing him arrive is a pleasure and it's a positive. It's going to be tough competition, but I'm going to focus on performing well so that it's a problem for the manager. And I love hearing that from Hugo Ekitike. And again, fight it out. Let the standards become higher for everybody. It will increase competition on the training ground, and hopefully a rising tide raises all boats. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for now. We've covered quite a bit there, but delighted to say I will see you guys back here tonight at 8:45 for the late night agenda. I've missed you over the last few days. It'd be great to be back with you tonight. See you then. Bye-bye.